welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a concept that completely flips how we usually think about financial success. We typically imagine wealth building as something that happens entirely out there in the financial system. You're doing stock trades, buying real estate, staring at complex spreadsheets. But the source material we're analyzing today reveals a totally different reality. It argues that long-term wealth is actually secretly built right in the very first hour of your day. So let's jump right in and uncover exactly how your daily morning habits are quietly dictating your financial future.
Okay, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine two people waking up at the exact same time. Person one rolls over, instantly grabs the phone. They start scrolling social media, checking stressful work emails, watching random videos. Bam! 30 minutes are gone. They panic, they rush, they skip breakfast, and they arrive at work completely mentally scattered, essentially playing catch-up before the day's even started. Now look at person two. They wake up. They don't even touch their phone. They move through a very specific, intentional routine. They walk into work calm, focused, and totally clear-headed. If you fast forward 10 years, these two people, who are given the exact same 24 hours a day, are going to have drastically different bank accounts.
So why exactly do mornings dictate your financial future? Seriously, take a second to really think about that. Why on earth does the way you spend your first 60 minutes matter so much to your long-term wealth? Well, it's because your morning isn't just the start of your day, it's the absolute bedrock that every single subsequent financial decision is built on top of. Here is the crucial takeaway we need to lock in. The mental state you're in when you start your day completely dictates the quality of your decisions, the depth of your focus, and how you respond to opportunities. If you hand your attention right over to notifications, you're going to produce a reactive day. And let's be real, reactive days just do not build wealth. Intentional mornings, on the other hand, where you take control of your mindset before the rest of the world hijacks it, produce intentional days. So this isn't just some trendy productivity hack. It's a highly effective wealth-building strategy wearing the disguise of a daily habit.
And that brings us right into phase one, protect your morning brain.
Look, before we can even think about feeding your mind with good things, we've got to ruthlessly guard it from the noise. Step one is waking early. Now, this isn't about joining the 4 a.m. club just to brag about it online. It's simply about securing 60 to 90 minutes of uninterrupted, protected time. Step two is an absolute non-negotiable, no phone for the first 30 to 60 minutes, period. And step three is getting in some physical movement within that first half hour. Doing these three foundational things just prevents you from starting your day in a mentally scattered state. There is a fascinating biological reason why this matters so much. When you first wake up, your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain responsible for logical thinking and financial planning, is just slowly coming online. It's incredibly vulnerable. The absolute second you open social media, you are flooding that vulnerable state with comparison triggers and cheap dopamine hits that literally wire your brain for distraction. Wealthy people guard their morning brain state the exact same way they guard their investment accounts. Plus, by moving your body first thing, your cortisol drops and blood flow to the prefrontal cortex actually increases. You literally become a better financial decision maker just because you moved.
Okay, so once your brain is protected, we move into phase two, prime your wealth mindset.
This is where we flip the script. We go from guarding the brain to actively feeding it high-value inputs. This phase is built on three powerful habits. First, spend 15 to 20 minutes consuming some kind of financial education, maybe read a book chapter or listen to a finance podcast. Second, practice genuine gratitude and visualization. And third, sit down for a totally tech-free breakfast. Doing this shifts you right out of a scarcity mindset, which we know causes impulsive decisions, and puts you into an abundance mindset. Having a tech-free breakfast gives your subconscious the quiet space it desperately needs to actually process complex financial solutions.
This really brilliantly illustrates the massive power of the compound effect. Just think about that first habit, 15 to 20 minutes of financial education a day. Sounds pretty small, right? But the person who dedicates just 20 minutes every morning to learning about finance gains the equivalent of over 120 hours of financial education in a single year. To put that in perspective, that is a staggering amount of knowledge that is constantly reshaping how you evaluate opportunities in your everyday life. Then we have the actual science behind visualization. When you spend just 2 or 3 minutes vividly picturing your financial goals as if they're already achieved, you activate what's called your reticular activating system, or RAS. Think of the RAS as basically your brain's bouncer. By visualizing your goals every single day, you literally program this internal filter to start noticing opportunities, connections, and information in your environment that it would have previously completely ignored. It isn't magic, it's just neuroscience aligning with your ambition. Which leads us perfectly into phase 3. Execute high-value actions. So, you've protected your brain. You've primed your mindset. Now, all that mental prep turns into tangible momentum. This execution phase is all about setting specific daily financial intentions, prioritizing income-generating activities, tracking your progress, and reviewing your core reasons for building wealth. For instance, when you pre-decide exactly how you're going to respond to financial temptations later in the day, you're protecting your wallet. And by taking just 2 minutes to track your savings or your debt payoff progress, you create this incredibly powerful positive feedback loop. You're basically writing the script for your financial day before it even happens.
Right at the center of this execution phase is a concept known as eating the frog. This means tackling your single most important income-generating activity first thing in the morning, before anything or anyone else gets a fraction of your time. Whether that's working on a side hustle, developing a new high-income skill, or building out your business, this gets your first and best hour. When you do this, you guarantee that no matter what kind of chaos hits you later in the day, you've already moved the needle financially. Discipline without direction is just suffering. I mean, let that sink in for a moment. This quote perfectly captures why the 10th and final habit of the routine is reviewing your why every single morning. Because in the stress and the endless distractions of the daily grind, it is incredibly easy to lose sight of why you're making these sacrifices in the first place. Reviewing exactly why you want financial freedom sustains your momentum over the long haul. Your why is the engine that actually gets you out of bed on the days you just want to hit the snooze button.
So how do we practically put all of this into action? That's our final section. Start small, build consistently.
Look, if you're staring at all 10 of these elements and feeling a little overwhelmed right now, don't panic. The absolute golden rule here is consistency over intensity. Please do not try to implement all 10 of these habits tomorrow morning. Instead, pick just 2 or 3. Try starting with the phone-free rule, physical movement, and 20 minutes of financial education. Just lock those 3 in for a week before you add anything else. Because a morning routine done consistently at 60% capacity is worth infinitely more than a perfect 100% routine that you totally abandon after day 1.
And this brings us right to the ultimate thesis of our explainer today. Did you notice that literally none of the 10 habits we talked about are direct financial transactions? You're not executing trades or signing big contracts in that first hour. But as our source perfectly states, wealth is not built in the financial system. It is built in the mind first. The morning is the time you build the mind. And the financial results? Well, those are simply what follows when a prepared, highly intentional mind makes great decisions, day after day.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty vital question for you to consider. Knowing that the absolute foundation of your long-term financial future is laid before you even step foot out the front door, what are you going to do with your first hour tomorrow?